Today on Southwest Championship Wrestling, we're headlined with such stars as the world's heavyweight champion Nick Bockwinkel. Mike Graham from Tampa, Florida is here. The Polish Power, Ivan Putski, Tully Blanchard, Adrian Adonis, Scott Casey, Rick Morton, and much, much more. So don't go away, because the excitement of the next hour is the finest in professional wrestling with Southwest Championship Wrestling. I'm Steve Stack, and here with me today is the former world's heavyweight champion, Mr. Lou Thez, and Lou has just been appointed as the new commissioner, the newly appointed commissioner of Southwest Championship Wrestling. Congratulations, Mr. Thez.
Thank you very much, and I'm very pleased to be a part of this organization. It's probably the most prestigious and progressive wrestling organization in the world today. As I look through the roster of men that they have garnered for these matches, it's the finest in the world. And I do a lot of world hopping, a lot of world globe trotting, and they've really done a beautiful job of matchmaking here, and I'm very happy to be a part of it.
Well, remember, we told you Dick Slater's title had been vacated. He didn't defend that title in 30 days. Look right here. Southwest Championship Wrestling has come up with a tournament format for New Year's night, January the 1st, 1983 at the Hemisphere Arena in San Antonio. 16 men entered, 15 matches. You have to go 4 times to win. You can see all the exciting names listed on there, and Lou, I know you're proud to be associated with that.
I really am, and of course we have a new rule situation that we're going to have to get into, Steve. Some of these things have really been violated flagrantly, so we're going to have to correct it, like jumping off the top rope and making contact with your man, throwing a man over the top rope, outside interference, which has really been abused, and these things are all going to have to be corrected, and we're going to go to work on it. The abuse that some of these fellas have done in this area here is really going to be corrected, and the suspensions may be in order.
Well, I know you've got a long and hard job ahead of you, but if anybody can handle it, you can.
Well, we'll try.
Thank you very much. The newly appointed commissioner of Southwest Championship Wrestling, Lou Thez. You'll be hearing a lot about him in the upcoming weeks. We'll be back with our opening match here on Southwest Championship Wrestling, featuring the world's heavyweight champion Nick Bockwinkel, right after this. Making one of his rare appearances here on Southwest Championship Wrestling, not only as an interviewer tonight, but also the world's heavyweight champion Nick Bockwinkel is scheduled to go in the ring in a few minutes against Mike Graham from Tampa, Florida. And Nick, it's nice to have you here.
I'm starting off the year of '83 in a rather magnanimous and munificent mood. And consequently, I will be stepping into the ring, and I'm going to step into the ring with a man by the name of Mike Graham, one of the top contenders in the world today for the heavyweight championship. Also a man who's going to be going into this tournament for the Southwest Heavyweight Championship on New Year's Day. Now, of course, there's nothing that Mike Graham would like to do than be victorious right here on television. Of course, it's an untitled match, and he'll make his best effort. But if he thinks for 1 second that I'm not going to put out my very best, even though it's an untitled match, you're a fool, Mike Graham. I have been the world's heavyweight champion for 5 years, and I've done it successfully because I am dedicated, love my sport, just as you do. And when it's all done and over with, we may see who the better man is, we may not. Because you would like to catch a victory on me and then go into the Southwest Heavyweight Tournament on New Year's Day. Consequently, you would then go in as a favorite. I'll watch that tournament after this match is concluded, because undoubtedly the championship committee will give a lot of measure to the man who comes out as a Southwest Heavyweight Champion to be the #1 top contender in the world to go against me for the Heavyweight Championship of the world.
I know there are a lot of guys entered in that tournament, 16 men. Do you have a favorite?
No, not really. I could care less. I like to see all 16 of them beat themselves to death. That would eliminate 16 of what I consider the top contenders in the world today for my position. I'll be standing up on top of that hill, looking down, watching all of them battle. And no matter what the outcome is, I'm sure someplace along the line in the months to come, the championship committee will see fit that that man does get a chance at the heavyweight championship.
Well, thank you very much, Nick. It's nice to have you here, and looking forward to seeing you in the ring.
You're right.
Nick Bockwinkel, the world's heavyweight champion, now about to make his way into the ring, where referee Jack Howe is with the other contestants. So let's go there now for our opening match here on Southwest Championship Wrestling. Jack Howe, the referee. There's the bell as we go up Mike Graham from Tampa, Florida. Mike coming into the ring at 220 pounds against the world's heavyweight champion Nick Bockwinkel from Beverly Hills, California at 248 pounds. And here with me, the newly appointed commissioner of Southwest Championship Wrestling, a former world's champion himself. He held that title, I believe, 7 times, the great Lou Thez. And Lou, this Bockwinkel is a tough champion.
Yes, he is. I saw him at a very early age. In fact, I knew his father quite well, and he had a decent amateur career, and of course he had a lot of good coaching along the way, and the coaching really does pay off. And he emerged as heavyweight champion of the world. Been all over the world, has done very well for himself. He's in there against Mike Graham, who has a fine amateur record and has really done very well as a professional. It should be a very interesting match because this young man Graham has a lot of ambition, and no one is as tenacious as Nick Bockwinkel in hanging on to that title. It's going to be interesting.
Yes, it is. You see Bockwinkel, he had Graham up, but Graham had the leverage going his way, and Graham just took him right down. Mike Graham, who also has a famous wrestling father, the great Eddie Graham.
Yes, Eddie is a fine wrestler, and of course, this young man Graham has a very important evening cut out for him here. Nick is sometimes not a real spectacular wrestler, but he has so much know-how and so much basic wrestling knowledge that even though he does look bad at times, he may come out from underneath and hook his man and beat him at any time. So that's where it is.
Right now it's Mike Graham holding on to the side headlock of the world's heavyweight champion Nick Bockwinkel. Bockwinkel on his knees. Referee checks with Nick to make sure that he doesn't want to concede. Of course, the champion is very seldom ever concedes. He likes to get in there and battle it out. Graham whipped into the ropes. Shoulder tackle. Down goes the world's champion. This time, he chicken winged him as he caught him there. And look at Graham move. Graham for a body slam. Oh, did Nick Bockwinkel bounce off that mat. Bockwinkel returns the favor as Graham is slammed down. Well, this is the kind of action you expect anytime you get a world's champion and a challenger in there.
Well, you've got some wrestlers out there tonight. These fellows really know what they're doing, and both of them have a lot of wrestling expertise, and I'm really excited. When I get excited, I know that the match is really going well because there's so many inside little things that the normal layman doesn't see. But both these boys have great reflex, wrestling knowledge, and these are the kind of matches that I would pay to see, you know.
Well, Lou, speaking not only of this match, as you look over the complete card we've got here on Southwest Championship Wrestling today, which is going around the United States nationwide, any promoter in any arena would like to have it.
Well, of course, and as I said, to repeat myself, when you see beautiful wrestling moves like these men are making here, it's exciting. And particularly if you're a wrestling student like some of my cohorts, people that have devoted their lives to wrestling, we see men like this in full swing and operation. It's really thrilling.
Right now, it's still Mike Graham holding on to Nick Bockwinkel. Remember, the world's heavyweight championship is not on the line. Bockwinkel reaches up, had a handful of hair. There's a shoulder tackle. Down goes Bockwinkel. Oh, there's that ring wiseness right there. He got the knee up in time.
He sure got the knee up in time, but for a large fellow, now Nicky weighs 235, 240. He moves around like a middleweight in there, and that's where it is. Many years ago, some of the really large fellows had slow reflex, and some of the junior heavyweights gave them a problem.
Here comes him bouncing off the ropes. He's got him rolled up. Does he get him? No, it was a 2 count, and Mike Graham almost pulled off the upset here.
Nearly had him there. Sharp young man.
Very sharp, yeah. Mike Graham holding on to the side headlock. The other voice you're hearing is of Lou Thez, the newly appointed commissioner of Southwest Championship Wrestling. Out here viewing this match involving the world's heavyweight champion and one of the contenders for the Southwest Heavyweight Championship. Here comes a count. It was 2 as Bockwinkel had got the leverage going his way and had Graham's shoulder down.
He was within 1 count of the pin. That's pretty close.
Well, Lou, did you ever get caught loafing and get your shoulders counted down for a 3 count in your career?
Well, I did when I first started wrestling, you know, but you get some pretty bitter lessons and you don't forget them. And when you get one taken away from you, well, you're very careful after that.
Right now, it's Mike Graham going for the victory he hopes here on Southwest Championship Wrestling against the world's heavyweight champion, Nick Bockwinkel. Bockwinkel, as he told us earlier, has held that championship for 5 years. Anytime you hold a championship that long, you are really tough.
Well, yes, he's very tough, but he's got a lot more than that going for him. He's got a lot of heart, a lot of determination, and it's a crazy thing. I think some people are born with the will to win, you know, and they want to excel, and it involves a lot of things. Look at that sleeper.
Sleeper hold. The world's champion Nick Bockwinkel has it applied on Mike Graham. Can Graham work his way out or get to the ropes to get himself a break?
He slipped into that slipper so easily. Bockwinkel slipped into that so easily. He'll sneak up on you. He's so fast. His speed, you know, belies his size.
He sure does. He moves like a cat in that ring. There's no doubt about it. Back into the ropes. Oh, and Graham finally come up with something to knock the world's champion off. So Graham thinking ahead a move or two.
Well, he's been around the horn, too. This young man has a lot of expertise.
Back into the corner they go. They just about got the referee in there that time. There's a nice arm drag, and Mike Graham brings the world's champion down, but he doesn't keep him long. Right back he goes again. Well, Bockwinkel caught with a 1 count that time as Mike Graham out of Tampa, Florida, goes to the side headlock. You're watching Southwest Championship Wrestling from the Junction in San Antonio, Texas. Wrestling at its best Texas style.
Well, this match will sure tell you that. Fantastic wrestling. Really fine wrestling.
Referee Jack Howe walking around to make sure that there's nothing going on behind the back of the world's champion, Nick Bockwinkel. Holding on to that side headlock. Mike Graham is backed into the corner of the world's champion, Nick Bockwinkel in front. And there is a knee, another knee by the world's champion as he begins to get things going his way as he's trying to injure the left knee of Mike Graham.
Well, you know, Nick will take any kind of advantage, just enough to keep from getting disqualified, or, you know, but he'll take any advantage possible, anything.
Nice scissor the leg right there.
He sure did. That's a beautiful takedown. But he's a very sharp wrestler. And when the chips are down, when a fella's held the title for 5 years, it's pretty tough to bet against him.
That's right. You've got to get in there and you got to beat him because he's not going to beat himself.
That's right. He's not. He's made his errors over the years, and he's not going to repeat the same ones, or he wouldn't be there.
Has that leg lock now. World champion Nick Bockwinkel with a leg lock on Mike Graham. This the opening match here on Southwest Championship Wrestling. Holding on to that leg, Nick Bockwinkel, as Graham tries to figure out a way to get out of there. He's trying to force Bockwinkel down. He had the shoulders down for a 1 count.
He sure did. You know, it's a crazy thing. We say this is a first match. First match used to be called curtain raisers. This is a super main event here for any place in the world, and it's really crazy. Of course, this is television today, and they may say a super match like this, like for the first match. What they can do to follow this, I don't know.
It's going to be hard, but we're going to match it, I'll tell you what, because a little later on, Adrian Adonis is going to be out there, and you know what Adrian can do. There's a shoulder tackle, down goes Bockwinkel, and another leg scissor. Now you see how quick he just snapped in there and come up with that leg, and he has the power just to scissor it and take him down.
Well, he moves like a middleweight, and he's going to hang on to that leg because he's got him going in that direction now, and he's got it weak enough, and he keeps working on it. He very well make him concede with it, and that's what he's working for. Williams says no, but I'm not sure.
Mike Graham reaches up there and grabs the head of Bockwinkel, trying to get Bockwinkel to relieve that pressure on his legs. He does, and it's Graham now holding on to the head of the world's heavyweight champion, Nick Bockwinkel. Graham holding on tight.
Working his leg, loosening it up, see if he can't get more circulation in it. Graham is moving that leg around as much as he can.
He was tied up here for a while on that scissor by Bockwinkel. They're in the corner. The world's champions in front. Let's see what Bockwinkel does. Buries his shoulder into the midsection. There's another one. Boy, this will take it out of you in a hurry.
Sure, he's trying to weaken his man. Get him ready. That's it.
There's a
by degrees, just little by little. By degrees, you get him.
He snapped him out of that corner. Had a 2 count on him. Now the world's champion goes in, grabs Graham. Oh, there's a backbreaker. It could be all over right here. 1, 2. Oh, and somehow Mike Graham come out from underneath. I thought it was all over.
That young man has a lot of intestinal fortitude. He really hang in there.
World champion Nick Bockwinkel staying on top of him. That's a legal forearm right to the side of the head. Grabs him by the head. Slams him into the turnbuckle. Mike Graham holds on to that left side of his head as Bockwinkel smells victory. Grabs him by the arm. Whips him all the way across the ring into the turnbuckle on the other side. He goes in kicking. Nice move from the world champion. A reversal by Graham. The world's champion in a corner. Graham lays one to the side of the jaw. Snap there. There's the bell. There's the bell, and the time limit has expired here for this match on Southwest Championship Wrestling. And there you have it, Lou, a great battle to a draw between the world's champion Nick Bockwinkel and Mike Graham.
Well, that is really fantastic. They've squeezed about an hour of wrestling into how many minutes was it?
10.
My Lord, that's something, isn't it?
Thank you very much, Lou. Stay tuned now, because we'll be back with another exciting match featuring Adrian Adonis right after this. Before we go to the ring for our next match, which features Adrian Adonis, Mike Graham has stopped by here on Southwest Championship Wrestling. And Mike, a great fight between you and Nick Bockwinkel. Congratulations. You didn't get to win, but you got a draw.
Well, you know, I've been watching Nick Bockwinkel wrestle now for quite a few years, and I've got to admire him as the world's heavyweight champion. But he's a man just like me. He puts his tights on the same way I do, and he laces his boots up the same way, just like every other pro wrestler that steps in that ring. There's not any wrestler that cannot be beaten. Nick Bockwinkel is the heavyweight champion. And for me, the step before that heavyweight title is the Southwest Heavyweight Championship, which is what I'm here for.
I know you've entered in the big tournament on New Year's night in San Antonio, Texas, at the Hemisphere Arena. I think your opening round match will have you featured against the masked grappler #2. For you to win that tournament, you have to win 4 times that night.
Well, I really feel that in a tournament like this, you've got to be a very talented athlete, a very good wrestler. You've got to get some good breaks because, like you say, to get to that top, to win that title, you've got to wrestle 4 different times. Conditioning, stamina is going to be a big factor. I've been running every day now for the past month or so. I've been really changing my conditioning, getting ready to wrestle 4 times in one night. Because professional wrestling is a mental and physical game of chess. You not only have to have the physical ability to go out and wrestle for possibly an hour at a time, or even longer in a no-time limit match, but you've got to have your head thinking the right way. You've got to be thinking about your moves, what your opponent's going to do to counter that move, and you've got to be ahead of him all the time. So it takes a lot of physical ability and to be able to think all the time.
Well, Mike, I know you've seen the list of the great stars that have signed their name on the contract to be in that tournament. Do you have any favorites other than yourself that you'd like to meet there?
Well, I'll tell you, there's such a wide array of wrestlers that are entering in this tournament from all over the United States, that I feel that the best wrestlers in the country are going to be right here in the Hemisphere Arena January 1st. And I'm going to be right in there with them doing my best to win. And I don't care which ones I wrestle because I'm going to be there for one reason, and that's to win that title.
Thank you very much, Mike Graham. Thank you again for that exciting match.
All right.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, good night, Irene. He calls himself. Adrian Adonis is in the ring, so let's go there now for the bell. Well, Mike Graham's an interesting youngster.
He's a fine young man. I knew him when he was a 12-year-old guy, and he was a wonderful kid at the time, an amateur wrestler. In fact, I spent a little time in Florida, and we sometimes see each other socially and go through some wrestling moves and things, and I am really pleased to see how he has progressed. He is a real first-class wrestler, a real professional in his thinking. He's a very bright young man.
Right here, the tide changes now. We go from the world's champion to a man who is big and tough. He's a New York street fighter, Adrian Adonis.
He is that. He is that. And this is really a tough egg.
Oh, he is tough. You can just look at him.
Very unpredictable. Anything can happen with him. Anything.
There again, though, Lou, you saw the speed coming from a big man. That's 250 pounds.
Oh, he's a fantastic athlete. He's just a street fighter. And, you know, street fighters, they stop at nothing. So you can expect anything.
Of course, he's going in there against a young man by the name of Terry Daniels, who comes in at 210 pounds, makes his home in Amarillo, Texas. Terry being put down there for a 1 count by Adonis. Now Adonis brings him over. Here comes a count again. You know, and ironically enough, Terry Daniels' wrestling career started against Adrian Adonis a few years back.
I didn't know that.
Adrian Adonis had been putting up so much money for anybody to get in the ring and pin him in a 5-minute time limit. This young man came off the streets, got in the ring with him. Of course, he didn't pin him, but that's where his wrestling career started.
That's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens tonight.
I'm sure Terry has learned a lot since that night.
Well, sure, I'm sure he has. Of course, it's a never-ending thing. We continually learn. You know, after we were wrestling professionally for years and years, I would go work out with some amateurs and pick up some moves again, and it's a constant thing.
There's some nice drag there on that arm, putting Adrian Adonis down. One thing I'd like to bring out here, Lou, the kids sitting at home, they watch this, they see this. They try to use these moves on some of their friends, and they're getting hurt. We don't want that to happen. These are professionals, and don't practice this on your friends and your neighbors.
It certainly shouldn't happen, and that's why amateur wrestling rules are different than professional rules, because we got to protect the young people. But they certainly should not try it. No, they certainly shouldn't. And they shouldn't try many other things they see on television.
Oh, yeah, you got that right. We won't mention those. There he ducked underneath. Look at that drop kick. Terry Daniels got high in the air. There he takes Adrian Adonis down. So Terry Daniels knows that if he can defeat Adrian Adonis here, that'd be a big feather in his cap.
Wouldn't it, though? Wouldn't it?
Terry Daniels holding on to the arm, but big Adrian Adonis is coming up. Whips him across the ring. Oh, he clotheslined him that time.
Sure did. With the power this man has, that's devastating.
Look at the upper body of that man.
He's a super athlete. This fellow is so strong.
Now that was between the ropes. In between the ropes, not over.
Not illegal, no.
Even though we don't like to see that because that concrete is very hard out there.
Yes, it is hard. Of course, you know, many times a man can throw a man over the top rope, but not intentionally. It would have to be to the discretion of the referee. What a tremendous power suplex that was.
Boy, he really brought him from off the apron. You wonder how Daniels can even move, much less get up.
A lot of power to take him over the top rope like that, let me tell you.
Sleeper hold, that's his Goodnight Irene hold. He's got the Goodnight Irene clamped on. Let's see, is Terry Daniels going to go out? He is down. Adrian Adonis has him down. Adrian Adonis trying to put the Goodnight Irene on Terry Daniels. It looks like he is about gone, Lou.
And he just snatched that out of the clear blue. He didn't catch him coming in or anything. He just reached out like a snake and got him. That's really phenomenal how he did that.
And there is the bells. The referee, Jack Howe, says that's it. Terry Daniels is out. Uh-oh.
He's bleeding from his mouth.
He is, and Adrian Adonis is refusing to break. Now the referee grabs him by the hair and gets him off. And I don't blame him because Terry Daniels is hurt.
He may have ruptured a blood vessel. The young man's bleeding from the mouth. That's very unusual, and they should really attend to him immediately.
Adrian Adonis has got to try to wake him up because you don't want that young man out too long.
No, you certainly don't, because if the brain gets starved of oxygen for very long, why it really creates some damage.
We'll stay with it here just a second now to see if Adrian Adonis goes over and wakes Terry Daniels up. Adrian Adonis is backing away. Now he says, okay, let's see if he gets... He says, he yells Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas, now that he's injured him. Sure, Merry Christmas. I hear him. That sounds like the New York talk. That's the way they operate up there.
There he is. He finally wakes him up, and that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Goodnight Irene hold of Adrian Adonis wins another one here on Southwest Championship Wrestling. We'll be back with a six-man tag team match right after this. Before we go to the ring for our tag team match, Mr. Don Carson's here with the Ninja Warrior and the Mask Grapplers. Mr. Carson, I'd like to clarify one thing. You are saying that the Mask Grapplers should get the Southwest Tag Team Championship belts if Ken Lucas doesn't appear and they don't defend that title on Thursday. I want to clarify that. If he doesn't show, there has to be a tournament. The belts don't automatically come to you.
It doesn't make any difference exactly what happens. There's one thing for sure, Ken Lucas, you will not be involved in any championship match because we made sure of that. The Grapplers, 1 and 2, move out of the way. Do not separate my team. The greatest combination today, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest single wrestler in the world today, the Ninja Warrior, the Japanese Assassin. When great things are invented, they are invented right here in Don Carson's stable. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest in the world. Now, there's going to be a six-man tag team match. I want you to pay close attention. This match will not last very long. These three men right here will take those 3 men and annihilate them right in the ring. That's my prediction. It won't take long. The greatest in the world. Fellas, I appreciate what you did to Ken Lucas. You did a super job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Don Carson. Now take your team and put them in the ring for this exciting 6-man tag team match. Let's go there now and pick up the other 3 that are already in the ring. Scott Casey, the Cowboy, with Ricky Morton and Bob Sweetan against the Ninja Warrior and the 2 masked grapplers managed by Don Carson. Boy, what a match this ought to be, Lou.
This is really going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy it. You know, I'd like to point something out, Steve, before they start wrestling. We like to call some of the holds. But I've observed, and I'm sure you have, many of the television wrestling matches about the country. I see many televised matches. Southwest Championship Wrestling is unique in one area, and the most important area to me. These matches are not made out of a hat. They're very carefully calculated, and it's an art. Making matches is not an accident. But every one of these matches are not mismatches. What I'm saying, one-sided matches. They're matches that are interesting and real spectator sport matches.
Thank you very much. Well, Ricky Morton starting out against grappler number 1. Morton with a backflip. Goes for the flying head roll. Look at him pounding. Although Ricky Morton has no use for him. Look at all 6 men getting the action.
That young Morton is something else, isn't he?
Oh, he's great. He is great. There's no doubt about it. Sweetan throws one of the grapplers out of the ring. Don Carson over there as Bob Sweetan now kicks the other grappler. Of course, the grapplers are the ones that injured Ricky's partner, and he's just trying to get a little revenge. He's got a couple guys in there that can help him.
Yes, they have really swept clean house, haven't they?
Scott Casey with a drop kick. Casey with a hip toss. And a 2 count on the grappler. That is grappler number 1. There's the tag now. Ricky Morton comes back in. Sweetan holding on to the grappler. Up in the air, an atomic drop. Down goes the grappler. Boy, they've got these fans up on their feet.
They got me up on my feet.
That's right. Boy, this is exciting action. Remember, it's Texas-style wrestling from Southwest Championship Wrestling at the Junction in San Antonio, Texas.
You know, Steve, I preach to some of the promoters about the country. Please don't make mismatches. Don't have one-sided matches. Give the people something to see where it looks like where it is a contest. They're doing it here.
Oh, these people are going wild. Oh, did Sweetan lay that on top of his head. Sweetan grabs him by the arm, throws him into Ricky Morton, and down goes grappler number 2. Sweetan's got him covered up. There's a tag. Ricky Morton now in. Sweetan holds the grappler as Morton lays one into the midsection. Side headlock by Ricky Morton. Morton holding on tight. Here comes a tag now. Casey coming back into the ring. Casey with a side headlock on grappler number 2. Grappler number 2 would like to get over there and tag out, but he can't make it. Over the top goes Casey. Reversal. A nice leg toss.
Casey's a slick article.
Very slick. Grappler makes a tag to number 1. Number 1 in there now. Forearm to the back of Casey. Oh, Casey finds his head being slammed into the turnbuckle. Grappler with a nice back suplex. Chop. A Ninja Warrior. This guy is mean.
Yes, he is, and he really throws that karate shot in there. You got to watch these people very carefully. They are so sneaky with the karate shot, they'll put you out of business with a low blow. That could have been a low blow right there, but it's very difficult for the referee to pick it up. They're very good at that. They've done a lot of winning that way.
In comes the grappler number 1 again as he puts a knee to the midsection of Scott Casey, pulls him out, reaches in, has him up on the shoulder. What's he going to do with him? Oh, a shoulder breaker. A shoulder breaker. And in comes Rick Morton and Bob Sweetan to save the day. That's what you got partners for.
Yeah, that shoulder breaker, it's easy to separate a clavicle that way, and that really puts you out of action.
They exchange blows as Casey tries to knock a grappler off. It's grappler number 2 in there now. I believe the grapplers might have made a switch there. They throw Casey's shoulder to the tournament. Of course, they're so evenly matched in weight and size, it's hard to tell which one's in there.
It really is, unless you really stay on top of it. You got to have a very observant referee.
Number 1 is back in the ring. Remember, Don Carson is their manager. And you got to watch Don Carson outside that ring.
You need 4 pair of eyes for him, you sure do.
Casey trying to back the grappler into the corner. And down goes Casey, as I believe the grappler had a handful of hair. The grappler dropping those forearms across the chest. Ricky Morton comes in and kicks him off. There's a tag across the way. Grappler number 2 now makes his way back in. The Ninja Warrior hadn't been in too much. It's been mostly the masked man.
He's waiting for the spot. That's what they do. He's lying back. He'll come in there. He'll do his thing as soon as he gets an opportunity.
I know you just returned from a tour of Japan. You've seen a lot of these Japanese wrestlers.
I've been going over there for many years. I started in 1957, and they're tough to learn to live with, let me tell you, because when you don't know what's going to happen, when it does, just like now.
In comes Bob Sweetan. Oh, well, that's what you call cleaning the house.
I mean, they're doing it.
Look at him go. You don't have to say nothing about a match like this. Here goes, oh, Sweetan went for the pile driver. Carson interfered. That's going to cost him. Carson interfered. Oh, this thing just completely out of hand. The match has been stopped.
Carson's on a run. That's where he belongs.
Well, the grapplers are going to be disqualified. That's the grapplers and the Ninja Warrior from outside interference. Outside interference from Don Carson, and that's right.
That's what we were talking about, the rules. We're going to have to stop the outside interference.
Okay, so Ricky Morton, Bob Sweetan, and Scott Casey win it as Don Carson gets his team disqualified. We'll be back with Tully Blanchard after this. The Polish Power, Ivan Putski, is back on Southwest Championship Wrestling, and it's great to see you, Ivan.
Steve, it's good to be back. You know, I'm from Texas. I wrestle all over the world, all over the United States, Big Apple, Boston, Massachusetts, Pittsburgh. But, you know, home is where your heart is. Now I'm back. The Polish Power's back. I'll tell you what, Tully Blanchard, Adrian Adonis, Nick Bockwinkel, Mr. Carson and his crew, they better watch it, because they're going to find out what the Polish Power is all about. We're going to clean the house. And I'll tell you what, I'm coming down here to show business, and I'm ready. I'm in best condition of my life. I've been training, and I'll tell you what, I'm ready. This is one of the toughest organizations, the Southwest Championship Wrestling. You know, Texas-style wrestling. That's the toughest in the world. And I'm coming down here to prove them something.
Well, Ivan, you saw the preceding matches. They were great.
Yeah, tell you, they really were. They got some tough individuals here.
We're looking forward to seeing you in the ring.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Polish Power, Ivan Putski, he'll be going into the ring here very soon. Maybe not today on Southwest Championship Wrestling, but soon. You can count on that. And now, let's pick up the action. Tully Blanchard against El Santo Negro. There's the bell. Oh, you know, it's nice to see Ivan Putski back.
I was very happy to see him. The fellow keeps himself in fantastic condition. What a body.
Well, and now we change again. It just seems like every match we've got a different breed of a wrestler in there. And I'm talking about Tully Blanchard as he meets El Santo Negro. Tully Blanchard has to be about as tough as they come, Lou.
Well, Tully comes by it honestly. His father was a very fine wrestler. I wrestled his father years ago. And Tully wrestled as an amateur. And he has progressed to the point now that he could probably be knocking at the championship door, the championship of the world I'm speaking of, at any time. The Southwest title, of course, is so very important, and I'm sure that's what he's shooting for now, because with the tournament coming up now, with Slater being taken off of the roster because he did not defend his title within a reasonable time, it's up for grabs. And I think that Tully would probably be at the top of the list because he has that kind of determination. Fireman's carry. and I think his future is very, very bright. Has beautiful reflex. I refereed a match of his recently, and his reflex is really tricky, and that's where it all is. The one that gets there first wins that horse race, you know.
That's right. Tully Blanchard now hooking up with the El Santo Negro. That's the Black Saint. Tully Blanchard holds onto that arm. Boy, I have never seen so much wrestling packed into 1 hour as we've already had, and we still got a lot of time to go. Look at El Santo Negro slam him down.
This young Mexican here, this young Negro, is a fine, fine young athlete. I watched him work out a couple days ago, and he is a super little wrestler.
He moves well, 225 pounds out of Guadalajara, Mexico. Tully Blanchard with a knee. Tully Blanchard with an elbow. You can bet that Tully Blanchard has put his name on a contract for that Southwest Heavyweight Championship. Tully Blanchard in behind El Santo Negro. Lou, as you go back over your wrestling career, which stretches back to a lot of great matches and a lot of great people you fought, can you compare this Tully Blanchard to anybody that you had to fight?
Well, Tully's not a super heavyweight like some of the wrestlers are today. Like when I wrestled, I was 230. I was a medium-sized heavyweight. That would be a midget today, you know, with some of these fellows. Right. But Tully is a little bit like the same size as Jim Landis was or John Pisak, who were super wrestlers. And Jim Landis was champion for many, many years. And he's knocking at the door right now, and that's what could happen within the next year or so.
Tully Blanchard hooks El Santo. Oh, there's a pile driver. I believe he did that for Bob Sweetan. Yeah, there it is. 1, 2, 3. And Bob Sweetan standing here to my left. I think that Tully Blanchard did it for Bob Sweetan. Blanchard is pointing up here to me. Sweetan is standing right here behind me. So we'll see what Blanchard does now as he stays into the ring. Bob Sweetan, Tully Blanchard passes that one on to you, as you can tell.
Well, I'll tell you what, you have to give this guy a lot of credit. He's learned how to use a pile driver. Not as effectively as I do, but he's learned how to do it. Before I go any further, Steve, I like all the people out there watching, especially the young children, kids 12, 13, 14, even younger. Because we've had a few reports about young children trying to imitate the professional wrestlers. And there's a young boy who's got a broken neck because a friend of his tried to use the pile driver and hurt him and broke his neck, and he's in the hospital now. And I want to urge all you young people out there, don't try what you see done in the ring. We're professionals. This is what we earn our living. We're athletes. Don't try it because somebody's going to get hurt. There's one kid already that's got a broken neck. I don't want anybody else to get hurt.
Sure.
You know, this really makes me feel bad to see somebody imitate me and try to do things I do and then hurt somebody else by it. I mean, it belongs in the ring. That's where it's got to be done.
Now, you would like to do that to Tully Blanchard, though, I'm sure.
Once again, I'd like to get my hands on it. I'd like to talk a little bit about this tournament for the Southwest Heavyweight Championship. It's going to be here in San Antonio, January the 1st. There's a lot of big names in it. People from all over the United States are entered in the tournament. The first round, I've got Gino Hernandez.
Oh, gorgeous Gino's back.
That's right, one half of the dynamic duo, or so-called dynamic duo. He's mine in the first round. Now, the only thing that I would really love if I could have Tully Blanchard in the second round, because I know I'm going to make it through this first round. But I'd love to have Blanchard on the second round, and then after that, it'd be clean sailing up to that title, because I feel Gino Hernandez and Tully Blanchard, they've got to be two of the top individuals in that tournament. If you get by those two, the rest are going to be a little bit easier, I think.
Thank you very much. There's
Thank
a lot
you,
of big names entered in that tournament.
There's a lot of big, Adrian Adonis. Good night, Irene. He's a dangerous man. You saw it here, what this man's capable of doing. He's a tough competitor. It's going to be a hard night because the man is going to be in the end. The man is going to be the winner. Is going to have to wrestle at least 4 times. And I don't care who you are. It takes a lot of stamina, a lot of heart, and a lot of conditioning to last through them 4 matches. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Bob. We'll be going to the ring for another exciting match here on Southwest Championship Wrestling. But first, this word from one of our fine sponsors. Well, in the ring now as the bell sounds is Juan Reynosa and Hangman Bobby Jaggers, and Reynosa starts on Jaggers before he gets that robe off. Well, Jaggers wasn't ready.
He certainly wasn't. Juan got him before he got him.
Juan, 250 pounds. Jaggers, 265 pounds. A battle of giants. And this is what we're talking about, Lou. Heavyweight.
They really are. You know, like I said before, years ago when you weighed over 200 pounds, you were a fair-sized athlete, fair-sized wrestler. Not anymore.
That's right. Jaggers with an elbow at the top of the head of Juan Reynosa. Punch to the side of the jaw. Lays another one in there. Reynosa off the ropes. Oh, did he cut the legs out from underneath him there. We want to remind you that Southwest Championship Wrestling is taped on Monday nights in the beautiful city of San Antonio, Texas at 1704 Blanco Road. It's a place called the Junction. It's packed tonight. We want to see you. If you're in the town, come on out. There is a slight admission charge.
There were some fantastic matches tonight, and this is one of them. But it's really been a really eventful evening.
There's a count. Jaggers thrown off by Juan Reynosa. Reynosa comes up punching.
You know, we talked about weights just a little bit ago, Steve. But once you weigh over 200 pounds, you can cope with any weight, even the super heavyweights. And that was proven by Jim Landis. So many times we see the super heavyweights, and you'll take, even in amateur wrestling, I've seen it, a middleweight might be the heavyweight. So it's according to who has the know-how, the expertise, everything. And like I said, Jim Landis was very, very good.
There was a hangman, Lou. Bobby Jaggers.
Got him.
Bobby Jaggers got that hangman up there, laid it on the throat of Juan Reynosa like to tore his head off, and the hangman Bobby Jaggers leaves Juan Reynosa laying into the ring. Jaggers wins it. Don't go away, because there's more here on Southwest Championship Wrestling right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, the man from New York City, Adrian Adonis.
Well, let me tell you something, Johnny Jack staff. Any place else, you're camping out. Well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about Adrian Adonis. Let's talk about the man from New York City. The man that fought for the corner, defended his block every week. No charge, Daddy. Everybody got their punishment. The man that put Crazy Larry out of business with Goodnight Irene. The man that misconceptuated his spirits. He can't remember the cream and sugar anymore. The man's berserk. He's a vegetable city, Daddy. Telling you something else. I manipulated everybody downtown, uptown, like so many nickels and dimes in my pocket. Now, why am I here in Goat Roper City? Downtown, whatever, redneck? I'll tell you why. Reputation I got. The game, wrestling. Adonis, the man. And I'm gonna prove it to all you Goat Ropers, you long sideburn freaks with the cowboy hats, six-pack, Cadillac, cowgirl, whatever. Get down to the nitty-gritty business, Daddy. Bob Sweetan. The man that feels no pain. I'm telling you something, the man is tough, the man is rough. The man ain't good looking. The man took a beating. No sense, no pain. But let me tell you something, Mr. Sweetan. $5,000 could be in my pocket. Party and money for a long time. All I gotta do is drop you on your noggin. How am I gonna do it? I'll tell you how I'm gonna do it with wrestling, Daddy. What it says on the marquee. I'm the world's best at it, and everybody knows from uptown, downtown, Jackson Heights, the Bronx, and down to Manhattan. You don't believe me? Who cares? Bob Sweetan, you're going to be a stepping stone. I'm going to get in the groove, but I'm going to do it with spirit, and I'm going to do it New York City style, legal. Good night, Irene. The python-like arms around your neck. You got a taste of it, Bob Sweetan, in San Antonio. You got a taste of it, so did Dick Slater. What happened? You were out. It took some sleazy referee to put his hands on my long locks to get me off. But now, I'm not gonna let you go, man. You're gonna suffer with pain. You're gonna feel it, man. Your hair's gonna turn red. It's gonna be fried, dyed, and laid to the side, Daddy. Bob Sweetan, you had a taste of it. Now you're gonna get a meal. You may be tough, but I'm rougher, Daddy. Let's get down. Let's prove it to Texas. Let's prove it to New York. But most of all, cry for your mother, Daddy. Cry for her, Daddy. Because, you know, when you're helpless, when you're old, you always look for a helper. Have somebody spoon feed you. Is your Blue Cross Blue Shield paid up? I don't care. 14 years I lived with life, death on the streets. What do I care, man? I'm out for a reputation. Girls, dime a dozen, man. Quality, not quantity. Quality. Professional wrestler, Adrian Adonis. The man of the hour. Own Texas. Me and J.R. Ewing, my only friend in Texas.
Thank you very much.
The pleasure is all yours, I know that.
You don't, nobody has to speak for Adrian Adonis, that's for sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up America's most exciting hour of Southwest Championship Wrestling. Till next week, Steve Stack saying so long.